Good. Melissa Booker, she's speaking on the topic of the Satchel Paige approach to wellness.
Good evening. My name is Melissa. I work for Cambia Health Solutions here in Portland. Tonight I will be sharing with you some information about a new approach to wellness based on the great pitcher Satchel Paige and his 6 rules for living a young life. He's one of my favorite baseball players of all time. When we look at healthcare today, it's really complicated. As you can see on this big screen behind me, those are just a few of the words that describe healthcare. And those are just a few. And at times it's overwhelming. In fact, it's confusing at times. And when we look at it in the future, the same big screen shares the same information. And again, it's a little bit overwhelming for people. And at the same time, it's kind of like healthcare has the flu. In fact, it's like healthcare needs to get well. So I would like to bring up that people are now focusing on wellness because we want people's healthcare to get well. The challenge is, when we think of wellness, we're also looking at a more successful existence for an individual. That's what the National Wellness Institute tells us. However, while that's an excellent definition, we also know that all of you in this auditorium and myself and everybody else probably has a different idea of what wellness is. Physical, mental, emotional, might be one, might be all 3. Everybody has a different approach to it. So once again, just like healthcare, we've got many definitions, we've got complication, many interpretations of what does it mean to be well. So here we are once again with complication, back to that first slide. So I'm proposing that we take a different approach to wellness, that we simplify, we make it less complicated, we kind of return to the basics, kind of like everything we learned in kindergarten to start out with. I also suggest that we return to baseball. I can see some of you kind of going, really, baseball? Before you judge me, I would ask you to do the following. Baseball is our national pastime. It's the grand old game. It's also the game that gave us my favorite baseball player, the great Leroy Satchel Paige. He means a great deal to me, and I think we should leverage his guidance. Paige was a Hall of Fame pitcher. He was a Negro Leagues legend. He was also one of the game's all-time greats. At the age of 42, he became baseball's oldest rookie in 1948. In addition to being all of those things, he also was known for his longevity in life. Paige actually pitched for our Portland Beavers in 1961 at the age of 55. 4 years later, at the age of 59, he made a start for the Kansas City Athletics and pitched 3 innings. So he also was a philosopher. He was filled with wit and wisdom, and he was never shy about sharing his knowledge on life. He wrote 6 rules for staying young, and I'd like to share those rules with you. Rule number 1, avoid fried meats, which angry up the blood. So while our children might tell us that chicken nuggets and french fries are great for dinner, that might not be what our heart and our arteries believe. So that would be rule number 1. Rule number 2, and this is my favorite picture of him, if your stomach distresses you, lie down and pacify it with cool thoughts. Sometimes we get all worked up and just have to step back and sit down for a second and get our thoughts together. It's simple, but think about it. It's very basic. Rule number 3, keep the juices flowing by jangling around gently as you move. In other words, if you have to do an Ignite speech, you might want to warm up. Or if you're starting for the Seattle Seahawks, you might want to warm up before the game as well. Rule number 4, go very lightly on vices, such as carrying on in society. The social ramble ain't restful. I think we all know that everybody has a vice, but I think what he's saying here is maybe a little bit of moderation. And if you need an example, perhaps Lamar Odom would be a good one. Rule number 5, avoid running at all times. This is not, I don't believe, a pick on our marathon friends. I actually think what he's saying is slow down. We're constantly running to the next thing. We're constantly moving on along. Maybe just take a step back and maybe go a little bit more slower. Rule number 6, don't look back. Something might be gaining on you. There's a lot of shouldas, a lot of wouldas, and a lot of couldas in this world. Paige is just telling us the basics. Focus on today. You can't control the past. So while his rules are simple, they're kind of basic, in the end day, maybe that's what we need. I've already told you that healthcare is complicated, wellness is complicated, so why not take a more simpler approach? Last but not least, my favorite quote from him is, "Work like you don't need the money, love like you've never been hurt, dance like nobody's watching." In this quote, Paige, in my opinion, sums up wellness. This is physical, mental, and emotional wellness. So, once you discover that and define your own wellness, because it's different for everyone, I hope that you will be well and think of Satchel.